Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome everybody. This is our monthly Q&A. For those of you who don't know, my name is Kayla. I am the training manager here at Green Rope. So first and foremost, this is a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the Q&A like section. I don't think widget. I don't know what to call it. I call it section. Anyways, use either one, and I will be looking at both of them. If you see me look over to this way, that's what I'm looking at. But today we're going to be going over some new things in the software. So we have new features. We have the default CRM filters, cloning shared access, and the mobile app. So we're going to start with those. And then we'll get to y'all's questions, and feel free to ask questions during. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right. I always like to have two tabs. Okay, so the first one is, I just said it and I forgot it. Default CRMs. There we go. So whenever you're in a contact record, so let's take this fake one for example. If you go to the activities and you go to filter through those activities, this is what we call the CRM filters. So you can set, so now the account owner and I believe power users can set this filter as a default for the whole account in the account settings. So if I wanted to, I could go to a settings account and I would go down to here. And now you see this CRM panel default filter. This means if I wanted my filter to only, my default filter for that area to only show CRM activities and maybe journeys, let's say email campaigns, I could uncheck the rest of these. You see how it's unchecking those for me? Come on, there we go. Awesome. So I'd uncheck these. So this could be my default. So then once I save those changes, success, and then I go back into the contact record, you see that's my default now. So now anybody in my account, when they go to filter through their CRM activities, this will be their default. If you ever want to, you can always use this button to check and uncheck all of them as a quick time saver. You can also use the default and then just check the specific ones you're wanting to look at now. But this is a nice way to make sure that as the account owner, you're controlling what your users are seeing right off the bat. So there you go. There's that one. Then the next one was cloning, right? I remember that one. So now in shared access, if you scroll down to where it says you have this many contacts that have shared access, you will now see this button. This button allows me to now clone a shared access user. And what that means is I can say, okay, I want to clone Susan Test, and I want to clone her for, let's see, for me. And so what that means is this new user is going to be an exact replica of this user. So basically I'm completely copying whatever Susan Test has access to, I will have access to. And then down here, I have the option of saying, okay, that means that this target user is going to be put into the exact same groups as this user, or I can add the target user, I can keep whatever groups this user's in. That's the groups they're going to get access to. I can add them to all the same groups as Susan Test, or I can set, sorry, I misread this. Add target user to original shared access groups. Yes. Set the target users. Oh, sorry. Okay. So what this is, okay, there's the difference. So adding them, so I can say, okay, Kayla's part of group A, B, and C, and Susan's part of A, B, C, and D. If I added them, then Kayla would stay all in the A, B, C, just be added to D. But if I set them, then all the groups that Susan's in, that's the groups that Kayla's now in. So hopefully that makes sense. There's the difference. Instead of just adding them to the groups, I'm making sure that all the, like that, if I did this, I would be completely replicating Susan to Kayla. So once I do this, every place, every group that Susan's in and every shared access permission she has, Kayla will now have. So this will make it easy for, say, if you have salespeople and they all need access to pretty much the same groups, you could go in, clone salesperson to salesperson, and maybe change the one or two groups permissions that they're in, rather than having to go through and give them permissions to 6 or 7 groups at a time. So this is a new time saver, so please make sure to take a look at that. Let us know if you see anything and how you're liking it. But that should be a really good time saver when it comes to adding new users and stuff like that. All right, and then the next thing is the mobile app. So unfortunately, I don't have a way of necessarily showing the mobile app on desktop, but if you go to log in, so let's actually go sign out over here. So I'm going to sign out, confirm, leave, get out of here. Give it a second. Did I click it? Oh, I didn't click it. Thought I clicked it. That was a joke. Okay. So now whenever you're in desktop, you will see this QR code. You can scan that QR code with your phone and it will take you to the place where you can download it. Now, this still is in beta. Now we have found that there's a difference between how this downloads for Apple users versus Android users. So for Apple users, there are the directions on the like once you scan it and you get to that page, the directions there will basically be for iPhone users. We are adding the Android directions here soon, but basically the Android for Android users, you need to go to your mobile OS browser settings, and in there you'll see the option to install the app once you scan this QR code. Once you install the app, you can load it up whenever you need to, and you can navigate through the system. Now, it is limited navigation, so you can go to like your contacts, you can update your contacts, you can update opportunities, you can look at the command center. There's a lot of stuff you can still see on the mobile app. It's just not as much as you can do on the desktop. It is a limited version. So take a look at it. It isn't still in beta, so if you ever find anything, feel free to come into the help section and give us some feedback, or feel free to submit a ticket to support. That way we can get that fixed as soon as possible. Yes, Scott, this is a different app than what is in the Google Store right now. Actually, that app is going to be sunset at some point. So it's not yet. You guys are welcome to still use it, but we will not be making any more developments on it. This will be our new app. So we definitely suggest using that. And this app can only be, oh, I logged out, so that's why it's giving me that error. But that's why this app can only be downloaded through the login page. Now, if you're on your phone, you are more than welcome to go to the mobile OS and go to login just like on the mobile OS, and you'll see the Get App button down at the bottom here. It won't be a QR code. It will be a button. Take you to the same place, and I'll walk you through downloading it there. Like I said, the instructions for Android are coming out, but if you ever have any questions on it, always feel free to reach out in chat or in any sort of support capacity. All right. Steve's doing it now. Great. So feel free to let us know if you have any questions on it. Like I said, we are still building on it, and it is still in beta, but we definitely suggest that everybody go and download it and check it out. All right. Alrighty. So that's pretty much it all I had. So let's move on to some questions that were submitted. So we actually had one person submit questions, but this was a really good kind of overview kind of questions they asked. So they were asking about how to add workflows and journeys and how to set up a learning portal. Now, typically these kinds of broad questions we want to answer during training. And if you guys are ever in need of training, you can absolutely, oh goodness, I did the thing. You guys have seen me do that so many times where I just skip right through it all. Okay. So typically this would be a training type of question, but I can go ahead and so if you guys are ever in need of, hey, I need to learn an entire section, or I need to learn an entire feature, that is typically something that you would want to do through training. If you don't have training hours available, which you might, I always suggest going to support and asking, hey, do I have training time available? Because you might, but if you don't, you guys can always go into the help section and purchase additional training. And with stuff like this, if you came into a trust training asking how do workflows and journeys work and how do learning portals work, we could probably cover all of that in 1 hour. Now, depending on how many questions you have, and if you want to build out an example, that might take a couple of hours. But generally, I would say that this wouldn't take me more than 2 hours to teach you, depending, learning styles and stuff like that. So definitely always feel free to come in and purchase additional training if you need stuff like that. As far as this question goes, when it comes to workflows and journeys, workflows can be used pretty much everywhere. You'll find them in a lot of places in the system. But if you ever have a question as to where can I use my workflow, a really great place to look at just to get a list of places that you could use a workflow is going into a workflow and use this usage tab. This will show you all of the places you could possibly use a workflow. Now, the only places this won't show are if you're using a workflow in Zapier or through API. So if you're having workflows be triggered through Zapier or API, they will not show up in here. The workflows will, just not the usage of them. But this is everywhere within the software that you can use a workflow. And so as you can see, it's a lot of places. And wherever you can trigger a workflow, you can trigger a journey by using the trigger actions. So just keep that in mind, use that as a guide. And then if you guys ever have any other questions about just basic, how do I workflow? How do I journey? Always feel free to come into the help section. We have articles, we have cheat sheets, and we have videos down here. And again, if you ever need anything, feel free to go into support with those direct questions. And then if you're really like, I just need someone to walk me through this, training is your best bet. Okay. Now, when it comes to the learning portal, so I'm going to guess that they mean the learning application, the creating a course. Creating a course in the software is pretty easy, but we utilize wikis for the actual content of the course and surveys. So I did want to touch on this just because building out a learning course can be a bit of it takes a bit of learning to understand how to build them, but it's really about, these are the ingredients to build the course. You need you need the wikis to make the different chapters in the modules, and you need the surveys to make the quizzes at the end if you're going to use quizzes. If you're not going to use quizzes, don't even worry about the surveys, just make the wikis. And so it's pretty easy. You could come in here and say, I'm going to create a new course. This is the beginning stage that they're going to get to. This is my first module. So this is all the introduction stuff. This is what the description is and stuff. They're going to click through, go straight to the first module. If you ever like, what does this look like? A really good example of the learning software is certification. If you've ever gone through certification, you can always go through that and stuff. If you don't know what certification is, feel free to reach out. But certification is a great example of what a end-use course looks like. I believe I have a course as an example that we can use. I don't know how pretty it is, but I do have one. Yeah. So you can see this was my first module. And over here, the nice thing about it is now that I've gone through these, I can always go back through them using this, navigation on the left-hand side. So always feel free to make a test one, get an idea of it, play around with it. There's a way to preview the course and stuff. So definitely feel free to go in and test it out. But just know you're going to use wikis, you're going to use surveys, and all of those together are going to make your course. Okay. Steve has a question about this. Can we embed videos in courses? And absolutely you can. In the modules, or sorry, not the modules, in the wikis, and you can make a new wiki article from here. So you don't need to go to the wikis. You can make it all in here. But in the wikis themselves, you'll see this video button. If you have a video stored in the media library, which we don't store actual videos, we store the IDs of the video from Vimeo or YouTube. But if you have that set up, you can come in here and pull that video in. So I think this one, I clicked on the exact right one. Good. So if I click on this one and hit insert video, it will insert in. I can edit this around. I can, manipulate the source code to give it some more flair if I wanted to, but you can absolutely put a wiki or a video into the wiki. And then once I save that, I think that was an unnamed topic, right? Yeah. So unnamed topic, that's the wiki article, right? And I believe that's being used in which course? Chapters. What? So as you can see, this is the chapters. That's the wikis that are being used in this course or in this module. So this module has the chapter testers. I don't think any of them are using the unknown. So if I wanted to add the article that has the video in it, I would hit new chapter in this module, and then I would drag that wiki article over. And then now when they go into this module, that first wiki article, the unnamed topic, which has the video, is what they will see. So yes, you can absolutely embed videos into them by embedding them into the wiki articles that you're using in the chapters. Okay, so hopefully that all made sense. Like I said, once you get used to building out the courses and stuff, they're pretty self-explanatory. I did just want to kind of touch on kind of the basics of it, just because these are, it does utilize wikis, surveys. So it's kind of like 3 features in one. So awesome. Alrighty, so how do I charge for the course? That's a great question. So typically to charge for them to use a course, what we would suggest doing is you would have if you wanted to do it all through the software, you would have a store. So in your store, you'd have you'd say, okay, we have a store item. It's for the course, right? And then in here, this is where you charge them. And then you'd say, okay, once they buy it, let's see, you can download the URL. Yeah, so download URL. So if you're wanting, so instead of them downloading, I believe you can put the course link in there. If not, my brain's just now telling me that maybe that's wrong. Could have sworn that I've seen it. But if that's wrong, instead of putting it in there, so you could try the download URL. If that does not work, you could always do the custom thank you. So as soon as they purchase and they go through it all, you could have a custom thank you URL where it takes them straight to the course. And that URL, you'd want to do a landing page, and then you'd want to use the course placeholder. So it's kind of it's one of those things where you'd want to have the landing page, and then that landing page, it has a link to the course, and then they click on that to get to the course. So that way, they get to the page, it says, hey, thank you for purchasing our course. Feel free to click here to start it, blah, blah, blah. And then that way they're clicking through. Let me actually go ahead and duplicate it so I can show you where you could find those placeholders. Give me 1 second. So let's say we're building this out on the landing page, Easy Builder, in the merge option. Hello. Okay, it's taking a nap, I guess. I'm going too fast. Sometimes that happens. Let me refresh it and try again. There we go. So in the merge feature, you would see, I know it's course. Let me go course. There we go. Link to learning course. So, okay, I want to send them to my module 2 of my testing 101 course. That's what this means. Insert that placeholder. So easiest way, custom thank you URL with a landing page that has this link in it. The other option, possibly the download URL. Again, my brain's now saying that may not be it. And then the next option is you could have a workflow get triggered that sends them an email that uses the same link to placeholder, but instead of them going to a landing page, they get it from an email. So there's a few different ways you could do it, but you could do it all within a storefront to charge them for the course. Okay, so that'd probably be your best bet. You could use workflows to charge a card on file. So you could say, hey, they said they want to get the course. I'm going to trigger this workflow. It will charge their card that's on file. But to have their card on file, you typically do have to have them go through the store anyways. So it's probably better just do this way. So awesome. That was a really good question, Steve. I appreciate that. Awesome. Okay. So did we have any other questions? I know I talk really fast. I'm sorry. I was trying to take my time. So please let me know if you have any questions, if I need to go back through something, if you missed something, let me know. You guys can drop it in the chat. You can drop it in Q&A, whichever makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of water to give you guys a second. All right. Well, if no one has any other questions, we can go ahead and move on to the raffle. So everyone, just so everyone knows, if you fill out the, if you submit a question before the webinar, you get entered into the raffle twice. And actually, I just saw another question come in. Does a learning portal have to be through a bunch of wikis? You don't have to have a bunch of wikis if you want to. So I'm going to just close this out right now. So if you wanted to, so the wikis are just the chapters. So let me go ahead and pull up my example again to show you the difference between the chapters and stuff. Give me 1 second. Preview. Okay. So each one of these, intro, second module, and finish. These are, so the intro is here, let's show you this. So when you're editing the module, so this is the intro. This is the intro stuff here. Then my second module, that's my wiki. Okay. So you can see second module is my wiki. And then finish is this complete section down here. Okay. So you have the intro, wiki, complete, or finish. You could have just one chapter in there that has all the information. And so they just go through one module with one wiki. So you don't have to do a bunch. As you can see, I have, a few different modules in here, and I think I only use like 3 or 4 wikis. But you don't need to use a bunch. It's up to you how you think your information or your clients would learn better. Do they learn better by having multiple chapters with different videos and different breakdowns? Or would it just make sense to put it all in one wiki, all in one module, and you're done and you're good? You can put multiple videos into the wikis. So if you wanted to, again, you could have one wiki with like 5 or 7 videos with text in between. Completely up to you. Josh says, for the upcoming Apple software update, where they introduce link tracking protection will emails continue to track as they have in the past, or will we not be making some changes to adapt? That's a really good question. Now, I know that Apple Mail has been making some changes, and I believe that our development team have discussed how their tracking has just their tracking protection has made it to where tracking anybody who's opening or reading in, I think it's opening or reading. I think it might just be clicking. It might be clicking. I'll have to double check. But as far as I know, we're aware that Apple Mail is having this. I haven't heard of the Apple software update, but I do know a lot of our development team uses Apple, so they've probably heard about it and they're probably discussing it. We just have not been told of any of the changes yet. That's a really good question. Let me write it down so I can actually reach out to our team about that so we can get some more information and then I can email you back. So give me 1 second to write that down. If I don't write it down, I will not remember. So Josh Cummings, Apple update link protection. So that was a good question. I will ask them and I will email you. Okay. Awesome. We have one more. Okay, so the order of creating a learning portal / course is to create wikis first, then incorporate into the learning modules. Will you be getting the recording? So yes, so you don't necessarily have to create the wikis first. You can create the wikis all within the learning portal or the learning course area. If you already have wikis that are created, they will show up in here or you can put them in here. But you don't have to necessarily create them first, but you do need to create them if you want that content in there. If you wanted to, again, you could not use, you could not use anything and just use this one intro module or this one intro section. So this area, this like area right here, I mean, it has the video option too, so I could drop my videos in there. So if I didn't want to use any wikis, I could just drop everything into intro and they'd only see intro and finish. So that's also an option. You don't necessarily need to use the wikis if you want to just do it this way. But yes, you would need to create the wikis in order to have them broken up into multiple chapters. All right. And yes, we will be sending this out. So the Q&As are now being recorded and I will be editing them and we will be sending them out as soon as possible. So be on the lookout for that. I believe Cole sends them in a follow-up email. So just be on the lookout. Steve, how can I adjust the graphics for what my clients see if they buy a course? So I'm not really sure what you mean by the graphics, but you can modify what the course looks like using, the different page designs. You can have a logo up there. You can even have a favicon. So the favicon is an icon that goes up here. So I don't think I have anything that uses a favicon open right now. Anyways, it goes up here. It might even, that's their profile. That's right. Okay. My bad. Anyways, you can put your own little favicon up here. So there's different ways you can do that. You can also edit the course description, which is shown up. I believe it's when you first enter in, it has a course description. So there's different ways. And again, you can edit all of this using pictures and using the modified buttons up here that you've used in emails and landing pages. They're pretty much the same. There's some differences, but for the most part, you can put this all up in here. So I know for our courses, we use a lot of like header pictures. So we put pictures at the top and then we have different text and stuff within here. So there's a ton of different ways you can modify the graphics of it. But if you just want to change like the basic layout of it, you would change it in here. You could do like white and gray rounded, or you can always use a custom web page. So if you want to build a custom web page with all of the bells and whistles on it and stuff, you could absolutely do that. But if you just want to change it to a basic layout, you would just do that in here. So hopefully that answered that. Let's see, Scott has a question. I believe there is something wrong with the download new app for Android. And Cole let me know he sends out the recording of this in the newsletter. Thank you, Cole. I was not sure where that went. Scott, so as I said, with Android, you can't download it so you can download it. It just isn't using the instructions that's on the page. We're updating that. We'll be updating that soon just because we just haven't had a chance to. But if you go, so here, I'm going to open my Chrome on my phone. Give an example. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure I don't have any. There we go. That's the USPS. Goodness. Okay, so I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm in Google. What? Nope, it doesn't want to let you see it. I'm trying. Okay, so we're in Google, right? If you click the top 3 buttons up at the top here, I'm going to see if it'll let me. There's these little 3 buttons up at the very top. And I don't know if you don't have Chrome, you might have a different setting thing. So it might be a hamburger or something. But basically, you want to go to your mobile OS settings and you want to hit those 3 buttons. in there, once you're on that page that the QR code takes you to or the button takes you to, you'll see an option in this list of options for install app. So try that. If you still don't see it, please send us screenshots and everything to support team, and we will try our best to help you out. And if not, we'll let the developers know and they can tell us exactly. Okay. But the Android instructions just haven't been added yet. Okay. Let's see. Steve, I'm looking at the basic page, that one. I'm not sure what you mean by basic page, Steve. Again, if you want to update the graphics for this and stuff, you change the page design, you can do a custom page design, you would add pictures and stuff throughout in these different places in the descriptions and the module descriptions and stuff like that. Is there any testing capabilities in the learning portal? Yes, the best way to test it is by using this preview course button, and then you can test going through it yourself. And then Scott, it is immediate download, giving a message that says now that you've downloaded, you can access it from the start menus, which you cannot do. So it, again, on Apple, it will immediately download. Android does not immediately download it. Okay, you have to go to your settings and you have to tell it to install the app. The message says that it was downloaded, but that's because the message is based on Apple. We are working on updating the Android option. So if you're, please go to the settings. If you're not seeing the install app, then please reach out to support. They can help you better than I can right now. Okay, so that worked. Perfect. Okay, awesome. There you go. I meant testing the course taker to see if they understood the module. Sorry. Oh, okay, no worries. Yes, that's where the surveys come in. So if you were like, hey, I want to have a test at the end of this module, you would create a survey and you'd say where is it? Test. So you see where it says I forgot this move. So where it says test, that's a survey. So you would create the survey. Now you do need go to surveys to create the surveys, but once you create the surveys, you would have them in here and you can say, okay, at the end of this module, this is the complete finish, or this is the complete complete module thing that they see in there. This is what it says. And once they hit complete, it'll take them to a test. Here, let me see. I think here we go, complete module. And so once I complete the module, it should pop up with a survey. Yeah, so this is a survey. In surveys, you can set it to be scored as well, just so you know. So if you go to communicate surveys, within here, you can set that surveys are scored. So hold on, let me open up this one. There. So you can set it up to be scored. So I said if they get 0 to 14 points. Now that does mean that the questions need to be scored. So if you're in a question, you need to make sure that you say that these are going to be scored answers and that this is how many points they get for what answers they put. So just so you know, that's how you can do that if you wanted to actually test them. Awesome. And then Carl has a question. Is there a way to make a group the default group? When I go to build a newsletter, I just start and forget to check the group, and the default now seems to be based on alphabetical. Let's see. So the default group is going to be alphabetical. So let's see, I believe mine's always been 2001 attendees. That's a great question. I could have sworn there was something that said where you load up into, and it's erased from my brain as soon as I had to think of it. Give me 1 second. Let me check. It might just be for users. Let's go check. Okay. I'm just going to check through the account settings really quick. Could have sworn I saw somewhere that you could set your default, but it might be alphabetical and I might just be making that up. I could have dreamed it. Could have happened that way. Let's see. I think it's alphabetical. Yeah, because 2001 attendees would be the most alphabetically. Yeah, that would be alphabetically first. Okay, so I just dreamed it. My bad. So yeah, so you will need. So it is alphabetical. So a lot of people, what they do is they do a numbering system on there, on the groups, so you can number them. You could put, multiple A's, dash or something. But typically if you're wanting something to be the very first thing you load up to, it is the very first thing on your list, then you would want to denote it some way by using numbers or letters. Okay. So that's probably the best way to do that, but it is alphabetical. So sorry. Nope. There you go. And then Carl, can you talk a little bit about the AI capabilities? So we rolled out AI a little while ago, and the way that we use AI is twofold. So you can access AI within the contact record. So if I go into the contact record and I have AI set up in the notes field, which I don't think I'm showing in here. Nope. Okay. Hold on. Let me go add it into my visibility. Oh, nope. Wrong, my bad. Okay. Go in. There. So in the notes field, if I have AI set up, you'll see a little AI button over here. That means that when you click that AI button, what it will do is it will basically create a summary of this contact based on all of the system fields and user fields that you have denoted as using with AI. You can denote a user field to be used with AI within the user field settings. So using this toggle, if I turn this on, whatever is in this field will be incorporated in that summary that AI creates. So that's the first way. So that's the first way you use AI. The second way is in the emailer. You can, I don't think I have an example of this because I don't have it set up in my account. Give me 1 second. Let me pull over my other account. Pull this up. Give me 1 second. Loading up. Wow. It's having an issue is what it's having. Okay, so in here, I believe we have AI. Yeah, so you'll see. So again, once you have AI created, you'll see an AI button show up here. This will allow, this AI feature is how you can have AI write content for you. So if I wanted to, I could say I wanted to write about blue whales in the sky. Sure, yeah. And I could say I wanted to write 50 words or 200 or I think it's up to 500 words, right? Now, just know if you do this, we are using OpenAI. Thank you, Steve. That was a great question. So we are using OpenAI. So you do need to have an account with OpenAI, and it does have to be a paid for subscription. So great question. Thank you for reminding me. So the amount of usability you can have with AI is based on the credits that you have with them. So just know that you do need that. But you can have it go in there. You can say, okay, I want this, at an 8th grade reading level. I want it to be really creative, and then it will generate content for me, and I can use that in my emails. So usually if you say really creative, it usually comes up with just absolute like gibberish. So make sure you do it within stuff, not ChatGPT. So OpenAI is actually the software that created ChatGPT. So not specifically ChatGPT because that's its own software like feature or function, but it is the same creators of ChatGPT. If I remember correctly. Might be wrong. Pretty sure they used OpenAI though. And this could take a minute because I made it really silly and creative. So yeah, but once it comes up, you'll be able to use that content that it generates into your emails. So that's the 2 ways that you can use AI at this moment. We'll probably be adding more AI options in the future, but this is the current options. So, all right. Let's see. Scott had a question. Best I found is to put a number in front of the group. Yeah, exactly. That is a great option. FYI, creating the content, I have not gotten the work yet. Only spins as you see. Yeah, so it just takes a minute. I don't know if, so it could also be that we are out of credits, that it's just spinning because we don't have credits. So always go check to see if your OpenAI has credits in it, because it uses like credits or bits or something. I'm not quite sure. So you always want to make sure of that. And then again, if it never generates anything, please let us know. I'm pretty sure mine didn't because either we don't have the credits or we, what is it? Or I just made it too silly. There you go. Because the more you give the AI, the easier of a time it has with generating content around it. So I gave it a really silly thing and I made it really creative. So if you don't get anything, please feel free to reach out to support, but it should generate content. And then Carl's question, and renaming the group rolls through the system without harming anything, correct? Correct. Yes. If you go in and rename a group, it's just going to be renamed everywhere. It might take you might find like a journey or something that's using the old group name, but once you click on that journey option or like in that journey action, it should automatically update and stuff like that. So, but it will roll out throughout the whole system, and it won't changing the name won't affect anything. Other than, if it's a public group and you have like a calendar with it, then now the public group will have that name. That's pretty much it. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, if you guys ever need anything, always remember you can always go into the help section. You can always request support there. You can look through our articles, our cheat sheets, and our videos in there. You can even request you can also purchase training and implementation. So always check out the help section if you need anything. But other than that, let me go ahead and we'll do the raffle.